And welcome to part 2 of our look at this box set. Normally I do box sets all together as one, but we've already looked at Megatron. The reason? Because he's never had a version of him before, not that I know of, and I thought he deserved his time to shine in the spotlight. Well now, today, it's Flame's turn in the latest GotBot True review. Hey one, hey all, welcome back to the channel. I'm your host, your most humble of hosts, Dennis Moulton, aka GotBot. As always, please like, comment, share, of course subscribe, and while you are at it, light them up, baby. Hit that notification bell, please. It helps me out a ton and lets you know when content of all sorts goes up here on the channel. Check out Machinery of Man, The Everything Factor, all the groups that I'm either a mod or an admin for, as well as all of my social media links. All of that's in the description down below. Also in the description down below, and if you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon, see what we have to offer to you through Spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. So this is Flame. Flame is kind of like an Autobot mad scientist who really fell out of favor because he had this idea based on Megatron's idea, if I'm not mistaken, to, hey, why don't we turn Cybertron into like a battle station world? I'll talk a little bit more about that when we get over to the table. This is also a reuse, remold in some ways, of the Gamer Edition Studio Series War for Cybertron Megatron mold, and I never looked at that. I don't have that. I kept the original that was the deluxe many moons ago, so this is my first time looking at this mold in any capacity. Is it good? Is it not? Well, there's some good things, there's some bad things, and there's a couple of things that I kind of felt like I had to fix. Maybe you felt the same way. How about we head over to the table and take a closer look at this guy? And yes, indeed, so this is going to be, I guess, part 2, if you will, where we're going to focus on Flame from this set this time. Earlier in the week, we looked at Megatron, and yeah, so this is the box and whatnot. Yet again, I'm not going to belabor this because we've already seen the cover. We've already seen over here. We know that if we put all the boxes together, we get a little mural. And then on the back, of course, we have Flame here. This is the way he looks in comic, which, you know what? Take note of it now because we're really going to talk about that when we get to scores for his coloration. And so here we have the instructions for Flame. I'm really excited to look at this guy because A, I don't have any version of Flame. Nobody did it until now. But B, I know that this is from the Studio Series Gamer Edition, War for Cybertron, Fall of Cybertron, Megatron mold, and we have the original deluxe from years ago and kept that. So this is my first time experiencing this mold, and I'll be very interested to see exactly what I do think of it. I know, you expected to see the bot here, but I did forget to mention one thing about the box. It is one of these bookcase kind of close over cover ones where we have Megatron and a little blurb up here, and Flame's maniacal face down here, and a little blurb there. And yes, indeed, now here we have disgraced Autobot scientist Flame. And Flame's kind of claim to fame is that after Megatron left, he wanted to kind of revive Megatron's plan to turn Cybertron into this battle station mobile world. And it was going to use a lot of Energon and stuff. The Council was pretty iffy on it. Zeron in particular really opposed it. Pushed and pushed and pushed, did Flame for it to happen, was working on it and hiding anyway. There was this huge explosion. Everybody thought that Flame was dead, but he wasn't. He kept working on the battle station anyway. I mean, the Council was otherwise occupied with Tranus and then Straxus, that they kind of didn't even bother to look for his body and stuff. They just assumed he was destroyed. He also raised up this zombie army, and when he kind of reared his ugly mug again, well, he ended up getting taken out by Zombie Impactor, who then went into this big Energon reactor that was full of radiation and I don't know, disconnected it or turned it off or something so that a big explosion that was going to happen wouldn't destroy everyone and everything. The explosion still happened, Zombie Impactor was taken out and renowned as a wrecker's leader, and Flame was finally stopped. Once a great Autobot scientist whose lust and hunger for power really turned him astray. I've often wondered just how maniacal his machinations and plans could have been had he teamed up with Shockwave. You know, I'm just saying. Now, that said, let's get into the coloration for this guy. Again, this is the Gamer Edition Megatron mold, so not for nothing, I'm very, very interested to see how it stacks up next to the original Deluxe. The Deluxe, certainly smaller than the Voyager. I don't know if the Voyager is big enough, though, to really be called a Voyager. Nevertheless, I will say this, I love the fusion cannon here. You'll notice that with Flame, I have it put on his back rather than on his arm. Though, that said, there's no reason that if you want, you can't take it off of his back and, you know, put it here on his arm. In Flame's case, it's not a fusion cannon, it's a flamethrower, which I guess makes perfect sense. So, let's talk about the coloration. Let's start from the feet and work our way up. That's probably the best way to go. So, Flame should have all orange down on his lower leg. Actually, let's start right from his feet. His feet should be yellow. His toes are here. I'm okay with the red being back here, even though the whole foot should be yellow, but I'm okay with that. The orange on the lower leg, that's correct. The red around the kneecap area, that's correct. The red on the upper thigh, that's correct. The yellow on the very upper thigh, that's correct. The red, I guess, around his pelvis with the yellow flame belt, that's correct. The tummy here should be orange, not red, but I'm not angry about it because we do have the gray on the side that we should have. The red here on the side, all of that's correct. The entire chest is correct, right down to the outline of the Autobot logo. The head with the silver face and the orange outline around the edge and being red is perfect. I even like the yellow dome, even though yeah, he does have the yellow dome, so that's correct. The shoulders of the guy, they should be symmetrical, not asymmetrical, and they should be red at the shoulders. This one's red. I guess this one's kind of red over right here. The upper arm, that should be orange. The elbow, that should be yellow. The lower arm, while it's all red here, it should be red that fades into like orange flames, like on his belt, so to speak. That goes into yellow flames at the wrist, but they just done it all red. I'm okay with that. The gray on the hands should also be red. So, I mean, you know, not for nothing, super obscure character. I think that this is an excellent homage. If you know Flame and you look at this, I think that you would guess, man, that's a stylized, weird version of Flame. I'm gonna give it a 9 because it's for everything that has to be accomplished for Flame's deco. They hit on a lot of it here, and there's a lot of paint here. So I'm going to say a 9. I guess let's do the articulation. The head goes left, right. It can wiggle up and down. This arm goes all the way around, out to the side. This can move up a bit, out to the side. Elbow way up, and wrist? No wrist. No wrist, but again, same movement over here. This arm, however, if you want, can also come off, and if you are so inclined, you can take his flamethrower and put it there, because remember, this is Gamer Edition, so it's gonna be able to do the thing, right? So we're gonna take that out of it though, and I'm gonna put the arm back on because I don't ever plan to take that off. I think I said all the way out to the side. Arm can go all the way around. Bicep, rotation, like I said, deep elbow. We do have a waist on the guy, free flowing all the way around. We have a leg all the way forward. We have a leg all the way back, super tight by the way. Thigh rotation, legs can go all the way out to the side, fantastic. The toe can go up and down. This acts as a heel spur, but it can go up and down. And I do think as a heel spur, it really helps his solidity. Ankle tilt, it's not much. It's only a little bit. But if you use the ankle tilt, I mean, you can get that good of a spread with the ankle tilt anyway. Maybe a bit more if you really finagle it. Then we get to the bane of a lot of people's existence, that being the knees. And of course on the back here there was an ugly little hook, is the only thing that I can call it. And it meant the knee bent to there. That's it. In a modern day, that's all the knee was. Absolute failure. 100% failure. Terrible, terrible design. I can find absolutely no reason for those little hooks to be there in the slightest, in the least. I took a crafting knife and cut them off. Some people have said sand them down. I guess you can if you want. I just cut them off so that now his knee is first 2 ratcheted clicks now, because I left enough there for it to act as another ratchet, and we get over 90 degrees. Bad design choice there. So if you get this or the Megatron and you leave that little hook, I mean 3. As far as I'm concerned, modern day, not able to bend a knee like that, that absolutely ruins everything else about the articulation. That's not really fair, and I know I'm being hypercritical about it. So because I cut them off, now I can say a wrist would be nice. Other than that, everything's there. I'm going to say 9.5. So a 9.5 and a 9, 9.25 for Flame. I would call that pretty great. But then we get to the transformation. Let's see how that goes. Not for nothing, Flame is supposed to turn into a tank that, I guess it'd be a Cybertronian tank, but he's supposed to turn into like a stylized tank, and his cannon would be, of course, you guessed it, a flamethrower. Okay, so I guess we'll start by taking that off the back for now. We will open this and put a hand in and open. I do find opening these to be a bit of a nuisance. Open that, put a hand in. Great. We're just going to leave those out to the side there for now. We're going to pick off this whole front piece, and we're going to flip this down and flip this whole section up and rotate this whole piece around. Great. Wonderful. Yeah, it looks beautiful. Where do I want to go next? I think we'll go here next. So we're going to take this arm and bring it in on the back. Now, what's interesting is there's 2 little tabs down here, and on the inside of this arm there's 2 slots that should go down there, but like it doesn't really fit. I find that to get that to actually stay down there, you're going to have to do the legs and have it all kind of tab in, because there's a little red tab here that'll go into a spot on the leg. Same on the other side. And it's almost like doing that will push this down into place. It's weird. That's what I would say to that. Then we have this arm over here. This arm over here gets on my nerves. So we bring the whole like elbow out and bend all this up like this. When we do so, what we have is a rectangular slot here and right here on the red. So on the orange there's a rectangular slot, and on the red. And there's 2 tabs here. But I don't find I can just fold it in. I find I gotta fold it in with the arm angled out like this, and then I can push the orange one down into place and kind of feel around to try and get the red one in place. But to say that I find that that is easy would be untrue. In fact, so much not easy that I'm going to actually do this step off camera where I can look at it up close than trying to do it here. And boom, okay, now I got it in. I can also take this and plug it on up over, because that'll be, you know, that'll be his cannon section. Then we got to do the legs, and we really begin by turning the legs toward each other. We flip this out and flip this out. We flip this half a tread out and flip this out. Cool, neat. Then all of this untabs from the back. Take the orange and put it up here. And if you hear some noise behind me, that's Starscream wife. And fold in the toe and fold this whole foot up and in. There, up and in. And bring this around and the orange piece will go up. Great. All that's folded out now. Wonderful. When this folds up at the knee here on the side, like I said, this little opening here on the orange will go over a red section here on the arm. There's another little red tab that kind of goes in under right here. And then up front, there's a hole right here that'll go over a peg right here. It sounds elegant, but it's a nuisance, I find, to actually do. We'll open out the other side, and we'll do the same thing. We're going to bring down that heel spur. We're going to bring in the toe. We're going to fold the entirety of the foot up. We're going to bring this down and bring it around, and we're going to fold it here. And we're going to bring these up. Now, I'm not going to lie. I don't find that there's any elegant way of bringing these up and doing this. It's just squeeze it until it wants to go together, and hopefully it all works in concert. That's not quite right, but see? Doesn't always want to work. Does not always want to work. I'll put that there. This section needs to go down and in there and in there. Boom, I gotta fix a couple of tolerances, but boom, in the end, here we have Flame in his Cybertronian tank mode. So I won't lie, I can't say that the transformation is good, but I can't say it's bad. Like, I get the logic behind it, but I do find that tabbing everything in here on the side requires, not finesse, it requires force. Like, I feel like I really have to squeeze stuff together, and luckily the materials feel fairly robust, but it's all a really tight fit. He was getting a 9, really, for the articulation. No, a 9 for the look, a 9.5 for the articulation, or was the other way around. Either way, he was getting a 9.25. The transformation, though, I feel like is only about maybe an 8. Maybe an 8. I'm going to say that this guy's about an 8.65 roughly. That said, is this a decent approximation of the tank? Well, the actual barrel should be yellow, that fades into red, that fades into orange, should be yellow back here, but I'm okay with it being all orange. Mostly because all of this should be like flame detail. I'm cool with it being like this. The red up here is a bit too much red, but I understand why it's this way because of robot mode. The treads should be normal treads with yellow inside, but you know what? For like a hover type of tank, I can understand how this would be like vents, right? I like this. I think this is kind of neat, to be honest with you. The red and orange on the side should be reversed with the orange up front and the red in the back, but again, because of robot mode, I'm not angry about this. And back here where all this is, again, should just be a bit of a mixed hodgepodge of reds and yellows and oranges, which it is. Is this stylized? Yes, because it looks like the War for Cybertron Megatron tank. Is it acceptable for a fringe character like Flame? Yeah, I think so. Emrat Zeron overall score was, if you didn't see that review, which was the one just before this, was a 9.5. I think Flame, while he looks way more impressive than Zeron, I think that the overall build and structure is somewhere around an 8.6. It's not as strong as Zeron, but even with 8.6, that would be lower if you left the little hook nubs on the back of the knee. Then it would be down around a 5. I would not like this at all if they were left there. It would be a deal breaker for me with the knees. Get this, or get that Megatron, cut those things off, and you got yourself a pretty great offering. Overall score for Flame, 8.65. And here I am, and here he is once again. And yeah, so I love the look of the guy. This is pretty darn close, honestly. It's about as good as I think we're gonna get. Ton of paint on the guy. Love the interplay of all of the flame stuff. Neat that this is a flame thrower. I think it works better as a flame thrower than Meg's fusion cannon myself. I like the articulation, but like there's certain weird things, like, okay, so obviously I had to cut the back things off the knee. Why it was only able to bend to that in the modern age, I don't know. I think that's an unforgivably bad design choice, especially when cutting it off does nothing and you can get a nice, at least, 90 degrees. I think the transformation is pretty good, but I can't say that it's smooth and elegant. Once it's in robot mode, it's solid. Once it's in tank mode, it's solid. And most of the movements are pretty interesting and you end up being kind of intuitive. But for example, folding this arm up and putting it on the, like 2 pegs on the chest, not the easiest thing to line up. When you bring the legs in and you open them all out, that's cool. But when you bring them up on the side, though they tab in many places, lining all of that up, again, isn't elegant. This arm, I think it's this one, being on the back and having to tab into like 2 little tabs down here kind of on his butt, I mean, it doesn't really do that until you tab the sides in. It's really weird the way it's done. At the end of the day, I think it's an okay transformation. I think it's great articulation if you get rid of the nubs on the legs. And I really do like the look of the guy. It's a success. When we talk about the box set as a whole, for 2 characters that we've never had versions of, that are fringe, that go all the way back to the Marvel G1 comics, man, I've always wanted an Emrat Zeron, so I'm so glad to have this guy. Had no idea Flame even exists, but now I know about him as a mad scientist with a bit of a fall from grace. I really like the guy. Man, I'd love to see what sort of machinations he could cook up with Shockwave. Let me know what you think about Emrat Zeron. Let me know what you think about Flame. Let me know what you think about this comic 2-pack. I can't thank Razor Bear enough for helping me out to get this. Very much appreciated. And thank you for giving me some of your extremely valuable time. I do know how important it is to you. If you're in a position to help the channel to grow, you can use the donate link. Check us out on Patreon. See what we have to offer to you through spring, or of course hit the join button at any given time and become a channel member. While you're at it, hit the subscribe button, stick around, have some fun with us here on the channel, man. And don't forget, not for a moment, not for a second, that you right there, you do make a difference in the world. And I look forward to the next time that you and I get together to have another visit, either in the live streams on Thursday nights at the stop motion premieres, or the old fashioned way right here inside the videos.